2, 1, go.
Hello, guys and girls, and welcome to episode 18 of the VR Inside podcast. This is a weekly VR, AR, and MR talk show that is live streamed every Saturday on Nathie's YouTube channel. You can tune into the show live at 4 p.m. in Europe, 3 p.m. in the UK, and 9 a.m. in central US. Or alternatively, if you missed the podcast, you can check out the whole video, which I upload to my own YouTube channel every Sunday, Virtual Reality Oasis. You can check out the audio-only version also, which I release on a Sunday or a Monday, and that's going to be available on Google Play Music and on iTunes. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback during the show, let us know in the chat, and we'll try to answer as many questions as we can. So I'm just going to introduce you to the room today. I'm pretty sure that this guy knows the way, and that is Nathie. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. That's all I'm gonna say.
But you know the way, right?
I do know the way. Do you know the way, Buddha?
I do know the way now. My fellow
Nice.
brother. Yes, I do. So next up, this guy, he is back from the US of A, but he is getting ready to go on another crazy adventure. That is the Rowdy guy. How are you?
Hey, dude.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm a little bit jet lagged, not that much, because I had a long trip yesterday with a horrible airline. Never flying with United Airlines again. It was truly awful. But yeah, no, I'm happy to be back, and I'm happy to leave again as well. Meeting some fellow VR YouTubers.
Yeah, you're like an international jet setter now.
Yeah, exactly.
So this guy, he loves nothing more than to take a spin around a test track in his Lotus, in VR, of course, and that is Zimtok5. How you doing, mate?
Nice intro this week, Mike. I like that. Yeah, Lotus 49 and I, we go well together. If Karen hadn't gotten me first, I think I would have married a Lotus. But
well, there's certainly a weird fetish going on there. Yeah, I've seen videos of that kind of thing.
Hey, by the way, quick warning: don't let your kids drive a Lotus.
Yeah, that's a bad idea. Last but not least, myself, the host of the show, Mike, the bearded bald guy from Virtual Reality Oasis. We've got a jam-packed episode for you guys this week. We're going to be talking about the Vive announcement. We're going to be talking about the Oculus Go models that have been rumored. We're going to be talking about VRChat, like why is this thing going so crazy right now? And our top VR peripherals for you to get the most out of your virtual reality experiences. So I'm going to kick today's show off, as we always do now, with what we've been up to this week, a little catch-up of things we've been checking out and VR games that we've been playing. So I'm just going to kick this off to Rowdy first, because I don't think it's going to be a very long input from Rowdy, because, as we just said, he has been flying around the world doing his thing. So what have you been doing?
What have you been doing?
Yeah, just tell us what you've been doing, because I know you've not spent much time in VR, but you can tell us what you've been up to.
I've eaten a lot of food. Nice. Holy heck! Whoa. I've eaten so much food in Houston. It was insane. And I also went to the Houston Space Center. That was pretty neat. And then spending a lot of time with some family over there. Yeah, it was nice. It was nice. And then the games that I played, since I didn't manage to play any VR games because I was nowhere near a VR headset. I did see some virtual reality arcades in Houston.
Okay.
Like, it was actually quite popular. I saw some kids playing around those like cabins. I took some pictures of it and posted on Instagram. But I played Zelda on my Switch and Mario Kart. But yeah, that was it.
Nice, man. Do you have any VR withdrawal symptoms? You know.
I know the prison life has been tough on me.
you missed those four walls.
Yeah, I missed those four walls, man.
Yeah, and making hookah. Nice, man. No, I'm glad you've had a nice break, because you'll be fighting fit, ready to jump back into VR soon, right?
Yeah, definitely. Starting next week, definitely.
Yeah, that actually is a good point. Actually, you can tell us what you're up to next week, right? Or if you can tell us, that is.
Yeah, of course. They already dropped the embargo on that. So yeah, me and Nathie is going as well, and there are actually quite a lot of VR YouTubers that are going to this event. It's like in Stockholm, there is a company that is making a Apex Construct, and they're inviting a ton of VR YouTubers to come and check it out, to vlog about it. So yeah, I'm planning on doing that as well. I'm not really an experienced vlogger, so I don't really know how it will turn out. But I'm looking forward to meeting some people and playing the game as well. And I will do an attempt at vlogging that one over there, and trying to make it like a fun kind of little episode.
Yeah,
which will appear somewhere in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, no, it'd be interesting to see everyone together. That would be really, really cool. Because we've been,
Definitely.
you know, like for those of you that don't know, we obviously have like a group of people that we talk to regularly. We're all sort of in contact with each other, all kind of friends. But you guys are finally all going to meet each other, so it's going to be very interesting to see everyone together. The sort of the Power Rangers assemble almost. You know, maybe you'll construct something crazy.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah. Okay, Zim, you're shaking your head, so let's jump to you next and see what
Oh, am I? I didn't even know. I didn't even know I was shaking my head. I'm just like bobbing along, like no. The thing. I got to be honest here. Rowdy composed when he was in the States a wonderful image of him fatified with a very chunky face. And honestly, he's going there like, oh, I've eaten a lot of food, and all I can imagine is just him in that fat face. And it's just like, I can't shake it, Rowdy. You've ruined your image for me now.
Yeah, mission accomplished.
But sorry, Mike, you were asking me what I was doing.
Yeah, what you been up to this week, dude?
So mainly, you can't see it because it's right here, just below the frame. But I've got my G27 out, which is a steering wheel. So mostly we've been doing track laps and multiplayer races in Assetto Corsa. So something I'm doing this weekend is setting up a 24/7 server so other people in VR can kind of congregate in a particular place. And the coolest part about it is that my new favorite map in the game is called the Highlands, and it takes place in Scotland. It's this lovely track of about 5 minutes. If you can do it in under 4, then you're ready to race. But very, very nice. So we've been doing like open wheel cars. We've been doing like old Mercedes. We were driving a Mercedes-Benz around the track yesterday, and just the hilarity that ensues when you've got like 12, 16 people in a race together all on Discord is bloody awesome. It's just so much fun. So
yeah, is there like in-game chat that you can chat with each other, or do you have to do it through Discord?
Not VoIP, but there is in-game chat in the lobby. So people are shit talking during the during and well after the race, I suppose, before you're warming up. But it's usually the way Assetto Corsa is designed is there's kind of 3 options. So you can do practice, qualify for pole position, and then race. But we usually just pick 2 of those and then go with that. But that's been pretty much it. Just kind of going as fast as possible, and again learning how to drive properly. That's been my week.
Yeah, when you started that sentence there, like the whole intro with I got my G27 out, I was getting a bit worried. I was like, this is a family-friendly show, guys. Let's let's not go crazy here. So, but racing in VR is kind of one of those things that I've kind of dabbled with a little bit, like not too much, because I found, and it was a long time ago, but I found that it made me quite sick. Do you think it's one of those things that you do get sick initially at first, and you have to kind of come accustomed to, or do you find it's not affecting you anymore because you're kind of a VR veteran now?
Yeah, I actually think that the main complaint actually isn't VR sickness, but rather the fine horizon pixel resolution. Like one of the comments we had the other day was, I have a DK1 and I tried to play Assetto Corsa, or I tried to play Project Cars, and I just couldn't because the apex of the corner didn't have enough resolution for me to kind of track my position around. And I think that the CV1, although it's just beyond that edge, DK1, DK2 resolution just wasn't quite enough to feel like you had enough resolution there. And it's where, we talk about foveated tracking and a few other things. What we were saying last night was, if you could take, just in racing games, if like NVIDIA could partner with like racing companies and with people like the developers behind, like Codemasters behind Dirt Rally and stuff like that, and actually focus the GPU's power just at the apex of a corner, for instance, and give you that additional resolution, if that was possible, that would benefit racing games more than anything. But I would say it's relatively uncommon that people feel motion sick in cockpit games. And of course, playing Elite Dangerous or E-Valkyrie versus a game where, you really only have 2 dimensions of movement generally doesn't make people feel ill. But I think one of the things that speed-based games can do is, if you have low FPS at all, that might actually trigger it. So, although I haven't heard many reports, I would suspect it would be relative to performance as opposed to just the motion.
It also depends, of course, on how you drive. I mean,
fighting words.
Well, I mean, for myself,
roast right there.
I remember I always got invited by PlayStation to come and play like the new PSVR games on like a live event, and they insisted on me doing like their racing. I forgot the GT Sport. Yeah, that's the one. And they insisted on me playing. Then I said, I'm not very good at racing games, and definitely not with like the controller kind of thing. You know, you have to like steer, but it's like a little bit delay on it. I'm definitely not. No, don't worry, we'll put you on like the straightest track that we have. 3 minutes in, and the car was like flipping around, and I was in the headset going, oh, all live on stream. Yeah, it was brilliant.
Oh yeah, and we also got one from the chat. Also, a tip is that you need to find the sweet spot as well while racing. I mean, you're not gonna play with like half the headset on your head, like, oh, I don't see it anymore. So yeah, that's a good one too. I guess.
Like it was a long time ago. It was way before even the Touch came out that I was playing with those games. I think it was Dirt Rally actually that I played. That I remember being a little bit sick.
Okay, there's another aspect to that. Dirt Rally is, you know how I said that racing games are generally 2 dimensions, so you're sliding left and right, forward and back. Like Dirt Rally is the bumpiest fucking game out there. I think it's brilliant, and if you have any kind of tactile or force feedback, couples incredibly well. Dirt Rally is amazing on PSVR, on the PC headsets. So if you haven't played it and you are a racing fan, and even if you aren't, that one is one to do, but maybe not the first one to do.
Yeah.
In the chat, they're talking about Desert Bus. Paradise Decay is saying that Desert Bus saved his life because he went shopping in the car and it was pulling to the right. He now knew how to compensate.
That's hilarious.
Driving that Desert Bus.
That's for like the pros, by the way. You know, if you had like GT Smart and all those other great games, then you go to Desert Bus because that's like next level.
The pros with a lot of time.
Yeah. So talking about virtual cars, Nathie has got a legit sweet ride right now. He gave us a little sneak peek before the stream. But you're off to this event as well, aren't you, dude? That Rowdy's going to.
Yeah, I will be meeting up there as well. And of course, usually when I'm going somewhere, we just rent a nice car. And this time we got a Jaguar, so it's not bad at all.
As Austin Powers would say, Shaguar.
I'm gonna keep that one. That's awesome. I like that. But anyway, I played 2 games. I didn't play that much. I'm really like having a slow start here. But I played The Climb. I felt like I just wanted to go in there. I was like, oh, what game do you want to play right now? You know, and I was like, okay, I want to go back to The Climb because I hadn't tried it with touch controllers yet. As you guys may know, it came out before touch came out, and you had to play it with an Xbox One controller.
I remember seeing it. It was like, that looks so wrong.
Yeah,
like,
but
with the Xbox controller.
Yeah, very strange, and a lot of people forgot about The Climb because of that, you know. But I played it with touch controllers, and it's really nice. You know, you can chalk your hands, and you need to like really swing yourself from one place to another, and it's really challenging. Well, with the controller, it was already intense with a controller, but imagine with actual motion controllers. That's the next level. So I played the level Zim was talking about, so the new DLC basically. As far as I know, it's free, so if you got the game, then you get some extra levels.
I don't think there was ever any paid DLC in The Climb, so I think it's all inclusive, unless I'm wrong on that. But
it's very action-packed, you know? It's not like just a climbing simulator. No, there's actually wildlife that really interacts with you from time to time, and you really need to do some dangerous stuff to get to the other side. So yeah, I can highly recommend the game. It's kind of overpriced in my opinion. For like how long it's on there, like it still didn't lower in price. You said that it was like $10, and it was because it was like a Christmas sale, but now it's back on the full price again, and that's like I think it's like
40. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
And I'm like, it's an old game, Crytek. Like, also, I think they did lower the price of Robinson after a while, but The Climb is still up on like the high price range. And I was also surprised it's still not on Steam and available for mixed reality and Vive controllers. Like, this is a very long time exclusive, or it will never be a game that comes to. But we have seen it with Robinson, so I'm like.
You just made me think of something very quickly. Is that with what we're going to be talking about later on, if the Knuckles introduce something with The Climb, that would be a very interesting sort of mix of technologies. You know, maybe that's what they're waiting for.
It has been pretty silent around Crytek after the Robinson game. They are working on something else that's not a VR game, but maybe they just wanted to test the waters, and now they just go back to their roots in a way. They also had like some issues with like the whole company, you know, after they made Robinson. So I don't know, but it's really nice. So if you are looking for a stunning, like it's still one of the most beautiful games out there, and you like a little bit of climbing, and you also want to raise your friends because there's a ghost mode you can use, then yeah, then that's the one for you. Also, I played VRChat, but I'm gonna keep that short. Mike can tell more about that because that's gonna be an interesting one.
Yes. Yeah. But talking about the climb, actually, it's been on my list of games to go back to because when I was kind of downstairs before I moved up here into the new area, like my ceiling was so low that I would actually hit it every time. So I couldn't actually effectively climb properly. So it's one of those games on my list that I definitely want to go back to now I've got this bigger space. But like you say, it's graphically gorgeous.
I know that problem.
And Mike, before you go into what you were talking about, I want to call out your new setup video because I found it really well edited and entertaining to watch. And also, your space is a lot bigger than it looks like in your little thumbnail box here. So I'd recommend people go check out Mike's video. It's about his equipment and his layout and his setup. You got a really cool loft area, to be honest. I'm jealous.
Really cool. Really cool.
Yeah, thanks, guys. No, I really appreciate it. Yeah. No, it was good fun. It was interesting moving up here and sort of designing this desk and everything else with the guy that built it. He was a really cool dude. But yeah, very fortunate, very lucky, and obviously, you know, wouldn't be where I am without everyone that supported the channel and everything else as well.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah, and you, Rowdy, of course.
Without Rowdy, your desk wouldn't be there. You would still sit on your stool in front of your little, you know, old wooden.
True story. True story. Yeah. But what I've been up to this week, not been up to that much, but I did go back to Arctica 1 and actually finish the game because I wanted to do a review of it. So that is on the channel now. That was kind of fun to go back to. I also played Marble Land, which is a game available on Oculus and Steam. It's kind of like a physics-based marble game where you have to lay out the track for the marble to follow and get it to like the little goal at the end. That was kind of nice as well. Very relaxing game to play. Very slow-paced. You know, you can die as many times as you want. It's not going to matter. You're not timed in any way. So in that way, it was very relaxing. But it does get very challenging later on. And then of course jumped into VRChat with Nathie. But I think again, like we'll talk about VRChat in a bit more detail later on. But also, I checked out Black Mirror, and I know I almost mention this show every episode, but I do want to stress how cool it is. And if you're into tech and you're into like the future of tech and the dark side of the future, what it may look like with all these new sort of technical revelations we're coming against, then check out Black Mirror because it's super interesting. I watched a really cool episode last night about it.
Though. I mean, like last week you told everyone like, hey, go watch Black Mirror. So I was like, hey, maybe I should just give it a try. So I started with episode like 1. And
don't do that.
I was I got kind of scared after that. So that's I'm not gonna spoil anyone. But
I should have done a caveat really. If you're gonna watch Black Mirror, don't watch the first episode of the first season because you'll probably think, Mike, you're into some weird stuff, and I'm never gonna watch your show again.
Now I definitely want to see the first.
It's crazy.
That's why less people are watching right now. Eh?
That's probably true. But yeah, you know, the 4th season that they're running right now on Netflix, it's a Netflix original series now, is very nice. And the one I watched last night was all about dating in the future. So kind of like the future of like a Match and eHarmony. And you have like a coach assistant that talks you through stuff. But also every relationship you get into has an expiry. So it tells you how long you've got to have this relationship with this individual.
Just like in real life.
It's so weird. It's so weird. But like, even if you hate that person, you could be stuck in a relationship with them for like years. It's really weird. But yeah, I'd definitely go check that out. Okay. So yeah, that is what we've been up to this week. And then we're going to sort of move on now to our first topic, which is the Vive teaser, which they dropped yesterday on their Twitter page. So they teased a picture of a Vive headset without a strap on or anything like that. So no deluxe audio strap, no head strap. It was just the headset itself. And it said hashtag New Year's resolution, hashtag HTC Vive, right? So initially, and then it had the date, which was 01/08/18, and I was like, oh, okay, we're gonna have to wait till like the 1st of August to find out what's going on. But it's because they do their months and days the other way around. It confused me. Like here in the UK, we do day, month, year, whereas yeah, whatever. So it's actually going to be Monday that they talk about this announcement in a bit more detail, and that obviously coincides with them being at CES, which is the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas, which is going to be running all week starting from Monday as well. So I don't know. What do you guys think about this, and what are your kind of like predictions to what this teaser actually means.
But maybe we should describe first a little bit, like, because the way that they portrayed the picture, like if I remember correctly, New Year was written kind of like blurry.
Yes.
It's basically the
resolution was like really clear.
Yes.
Yeah. It's I'm not sure we have like a picture here. Oh yeah, I can see it now. So yeah, on top you see like New Year's, and the sides are blurred. So that's when you have a Vive, it's kind of blurred on the sides. So New Year's is basically the Vive right now, and resolution is maybe something new that is going to change that. So maybe the sides, everything is going to be sharp inside the headset. And if that's going to be a new upgraded headset, one with a better resolution maybe, or it's going to be an adapter, a lens adapter, some kind of gadget you can use to make everything look sharper, well, that's the question. We don't know what it's going to be. One of those two, I guess. Right?
Okay. So my prediction here, I'm going to put it on the table here. I'll bet you guys a burger or whatever. But this is my prediction, and that is that it's going to be a replacement headset. So what you see in that picture is going to be the replacement because it doesn't have any accessories with it. So what I'm thinking is they're showing there is that this is the new headset. It's got like an upgraded display. The resolution is going to be higher. So the current resolution right now is 1080 by 1200 per eye. Yep. And what I guess is that the new headset is going to have a high resolution. And then what you do is you take that one little unit and then you just swap it out with the one you've already got. So if you've got a deluxe audio strap, you've already got your controllers, you've already got your base station set up. All you do is just buy this little upgraded headset, take that home, unclick your head strap, click it onto the new one, and then you're away to go in the new headset. That's my guess.
I got a different one. So I think it's going to be, I think this thing is going to be the 1.5 edition of the headset. So I think we've already had one revision, which was to strip the weight out. So they're already into kind of a revision cycle. That was enough time ago, probably more than a year ago now, that they did that. So I think this is the next edition, like almost an annual revision to their hardware, which we've seen from HTC in the past with their phones and that. So what I think this is going to be is they're going to couple the deluxe audio strap together with the audio solution that comes with the headset, new set of lenses, and it's going to be available for a price that is probably more than is there at the moment. So it's going to help them out in terms of selling and stealing some of the thunder strategically from the other news that's out there at the moment, from Magic Leap and things Oculus have committed to. You know, I think, honestly, this is a strategic announcement. So trying to steal a bit of the media thunder.
So you just think it'll be bundled with the deluxe audio strap, and it'll be
I'm not sure.
Bundle?
I think you're not too far off the mark, Mike. I think because of the image, because it doesn't show the strap with it, I think you might be on point. But I do think that we're looking at basically the existing technology just with new pair of lenses in it. Someone else has said, a lens adapter or something like that. And I can't get on board with that idea, like a snap-in lens adapter.
I don't know. It'd be kind of unhandy, but I think what you're saying here is pretty much they are going to sell some extra gadgets with it just to disguise the price a bit and let it look like it's cheap, but it's not. It's still kind of like you need to, pay a lot of money. But it's clear that they didn't want to drop the price because everyone dropped their prices. Vive didn't really do it. Well, they did a little bit, but not extremely low or something. So
yeah. So check this out. Like, let's say
that's the reason why they didn't even lower the price in the first place.
Let's say if they do this. So say if they release a headset that has a higher resolution. So it's going to be a higher resolution than what they're currently showing. Yeah. It comes with the deluxe audio strap installed. It comes with the knuckle controllers and the Lighthouse 2.0. Well, that's a very interesting bundle right there.
Agree. Good idea, Mike.
And because that bundle right there would have me very interested to pick that bundle up because I would be interested in the increased resolution. I'd be interested in the knuckles, I haven't got a Vive at the moment, so it'd be a nice addition to the family. So
the only thing I'm interested in at the moment is the knuckles. I don't care for the higher resolution. I don't care for like any kind of additional things to do because I want to be playing games on the headset that I have bought now. And I think a lot of people who got a Vive for their heads for Christmas now, they want to be playing games on that headset. And I don't think anybody now is already interested in buying something new except for the extreme enthusiasts. Yeah, I think what they're doing with this announcement, I think it's a prototype. That they're just going to show, look, we're still working something new, and we're planning on releasing this in the future. but I don't think they're going to be announcing any new headset already.
I think it almost feels like they don't do it for maybe the consumers, but they just do it to show the rest, like, okay, like it's a race, you know, where they kind of want to show something off for now.
We're on top of it. Don't buy a Pimax, you know, we're working on something too. That's what they're saying.
I think you're going to eat your words, Rowdy. And I think you're going to owe me a burger.
Oh, I love that. I love that. No, honestly, one thing Rowdy's saying is I think really important, which is that people don't want to have to buy new equipment. And it was something that maybe shocked me when Oculus kind of put out the point that they're like, we're not expecting to do any new PC hardware, you know, next year. And I was maybe surprised at that, but I totally agree with the model that it's almost a console model of like, we won't be revising the hardware every single year. Maybe not even every 2 years. Might be a 3-year cycle, but that's starting to establish itself now, and I find it kind of quite an interesting thing.
If they announce a new headset, I'm completely fine with that. That's what they want to do. But I just don't have the feeling that they've already tested the limits with like the current headsets. I mean, what game pushes to the now?
You've also got to remember that the Vive is like almost 2 years old now. It's almost 2 years old, and in terms of like technology right now, that is really old. Because like if you look at the cutting edge of technology, like the phone market is moving so fast, the TV market's moving so fast, the consoles are moving so fast. It's got to keep up with the times, I think.
If they aim it for release for, you know, December coming year, and this year, no, then okay. But if they would release it already in June or whatever, I think it's too soon. Then.
My guess is going to be April, because if you look at the release, original release, that was April 2016. They're just announcing it now. That's going to be ready for April. I can almost put money on it.
Go on, put money on it, Mike. Let's do a proper wager.
I'll bet.
You'll bet me a headset. You're going to buy me a headset?
A Five Guys burger. That's what I'll bet you.
That's actually pretty good because I haven't had a Five Guys burger this weekend. I was like, guys, I need to get a Five Guys burger. Now I know how.
Yeah, and they don't come cheap. I can tell you that.
Good luck sending that one to Belgium.
Well, you have a little parcel in the mail, so you never know. It could be a burger.
But I mean, going back to the history of the Vive. So the first Vive they sold to consumers was pretty good, right? And then they had like a revised version that was smaller. No one called that a new headset. Can we call a headset that has maybe a better resolution, or they played around with it? Can you call it a new headset? I don't think so.
Well,
no,
I don't think so. It's more like an upgrade, but maybe it's like not even gonna cost. Maybe it's not even gonna cost more. Maybe it's just the same price, but it's just like, okay, they want to. Of course, they know that the real VR veterans want to have it. They want to buy it, even that, you know. But they will just sell it as the new one. So the old one will just not get sold anymore. And maybe it will be a little higher in price, but I think they want to keep it.
I'm with you, Nathie. I'm with you on the price because I think they're gonna charge more for this than the current Vive, and I think it is gonna tap that market of because where has Vive been strong? Anytime I have a conversation, people are like, well, Vive is more expensive, so surely it's better quality. They're gonna feel that.
Yeah, but it's not like I wouldn't call this a new headset. I would just call this like going a little bit with the times, you know, trying to add the last few things to it, and then they are going to come up with something totally different, you know.
Like what's in that, like a 1.5 or something.
Because they can still sell this to a lot of people. I don't think it would be smart to go for a new headset right now. But like a new headset is not only resolution, a new headset has like whatever kind of gadgets on there.
But I like what Mike is saying with the peripherals because like the 2.0 trackers, the deluxe audio strap, instead of having basically a headset with DLC, if we want to call it that, you know, where you have to bolt on, because to assemble a full Vive, like if you ask me, what do I need for a Vive? Okay, you're going to need 2 Vive controllers, probably plus a third when one of those dies. You're going to need the headset, the deluxe audio strap, probably a VR cover. Then you're kind of sorted and ready to get ready. If you're really into kind of kinky stuff, then you're probably going to want a couple of trackers as well. But that's a lot of equipment to buy independently and not in one package.
Yeah, and I think as well, it would be a nice opportunity for them to talk about the Knuckles as well, because it's been very quiet on the Knuckles front for some time. And I think as well, like it would be a smart move because they don't seem to be able to compete with the pricing of the Oculus Rift right now. So if they make the headset, like you say, at the same price it's released now, but with a higher resolution display and these additional extras, I think it makes a compelling bundle.
But the thing is, these are called Valve knuckle controllers, not Vive knuckle controllers. So Valve is the one that is like deciding when this goes up. Plus, I think, as people said before, they are working on some games. So if they just do it like Job Simulator did and the Gallery, if they are the first ones to release their games, they're gonna explode. They're gonna be the main ones that are great for those controllers, you know.
Let me ask you guys this: like, if you had to choose between a new Vive headset coming out this year or 3 Valve games.
Valve games, obviously.
Tim?
Like a VR Valve games, right? We're talking like Portal, Half-Life, and and
Well,
I would go for one Valve game. Left 4 Dead 3 in VR. I don't need anything else. Just leave me with that game for 6 months.
Yeah, that's true. I would go for the games as well.
I mean, from like not from my personal perspective, but for VR in general, it would be better if there's some games coming out.
I agree.
Personally, you would rather have a better headset?
Yeah. I mean, I can live with like not having those games, even that they will blow me out of the water with what is possible in VR, because Valve is gonna show some new stuff we have never seen before. I mean, I saw a tweet from a guy from Road to VR. He said, like, have you guys seen any game that kind of looks like or Robo Recall or The Lab? Something that no. And that says enough, I guess, about how much we got so far in terms of games.
Good point here, Nathie. I like the point that you're making, which is I feel like we've had the wool pulled over our eyes for about 6 months now with a lot of re-releases, upgrades of old games. You know, when was the last time we had a from-scratch VR game that really made an impact? Don't say VRChat or I'll kill all of you.
I mean, Lone Echo was great, but it wasn't really using like it wasn't next level in a way. You know, it was very detailed and the way you were grabbing stuff and you could see your hands, but not like with the Lab where you have some mini games and every mini game is very nice. You know, and
that's why Valve games.
It's like, as I said before, with the touch controllers too, no one is using the whole hand thing anymore. And with the Vive controllers too, no one is really like trying something that is like everyone is using the same old tricks now. Okay. And it gets old, you know?
So this is my wish list, right? This is my ultimate dream. Tomorrow, or no, Monday, when they release this announcement and they go through what they're actually working on, they release everything that I've said, like new high-resolution display, Knuckles, Lighthouse 2.0, and then they say, by the way, this is the lineup to 2018. These are the games produced by Valve.
I'm adding to that. I'm adding to that. So they bundle with it Orange Box 2, which has 3 VR games, and they show Valve is focused like almost solely on VR now. That's what I want.
But that's the thing, like when they launched the Vive, they put it on the front page of Steam, and you know how big Steam is. That was like a big impact. Yeah. Since then, we haven't really seen them doing that anymore. They put some games on there from time to time, you know, with like Fallout 4 VR, we have seen that, and with Doom. But that's it. But I also talked to Mike last week about this. Like, how many games were like really surprising you in terms of gameplay mechanics, where you were like, wow, like the whole thing is new, you know, not just, oh, I can now have this and that. No, like the whole thing was like totally different than everything you have played so far, you know. And I think like this year, it's up to all the developers to really like, you know,
create a new genre. Yeah.
We got Andreas asking, is Mr. Oasis seriously expecting all of this?
It is my ultimate wish list. Like, let's be clear about it. In reality, half of this is probably unlikely to happen. I reckon it probably will in reality just be an upgraded display in the headset. But you know, if I had my dream come true, then that's what I would want.
But that prediction you made of like having all those games together and then sell them as a box or as a bundle, I think that's something that is going to happen. Because, I mean, Valve wants to advertise these Steam VR knuckle controllers with the games they made, maybe, and with some other developers out there too. Because I think
all of the hardware that they've released. If you look at like the Steam Link was bundled with their games, the Steam controller was bundled with their games. It would make sense from that perspective that Valve is doing that same VR.
If you look at the Lab, like it just perfectly blends with the Vive controllers. Like there's almost nothing else out there that is perfectly like fits the whole experience, you know. I don't know. I mean, what you said, like we need more games, of course, for sure, but it totally depends on what those games are. You know, re-releases and stuff like that. Okay, fine. I mean, if you're a developer and you made a game for a gamepad a while back and now you're gonna bring it out for touch or a Vive or mixed reality, that's cool. I mean, I would do the same because it's an extra income you create for yourself. But yeah, I don't know.
I'd also say that I'm not against recovers. Like if they decided to go and VRify GTA 5, I'd be fine with that. You know, if they decided to go do the same thing with, as I said, do a Left 4 Dead upheaval. If you have to learn the lessons at a lower outlay as a company, I think that's still okay. But what we're saying here is we still want build for VR titles, right? You want native VR.
That's what I want to see in 2018.
Yeah, I think we will.
And that's the thing. Like, we haven't really had that many announcements about titles that are coming out in 2018 just yet. Like, there's not really loads that I'm super excited about right now. So.
No,
that's like indies, of course, like a lot of small game developers or mid-level game developers, but the big ones is something different.
Like there's still like a large group of people that know what VR is right now, and they think it's very funny and entertaining, but they are still not feeling like they need to have one, you know. And that's a hype beyond some level you need to create. And if someone can do that, it's Valve, of course. I mean, everyone is on Steam all day. Everyone is looking at the front page all day. So it's like, you know, if they bundle it with some games and they really also announce it as their, like, that's the thing. It needs to be a Portal game, at least one, or maybe a Left 4 Dead one, or a Team Fortress game. I mean, they with the DK1, they even made like support for Team Fortress, you know, and it worked. So if they really come up with, like, let's say a multiplayer game like Team Fortress, and it's only VR, because it needs to be an only VR game to let this work. But if it's one of their famous titles with characters everyone loves and hasn't seen anything of in years, then this is the moment, you know? They can make use out of that.
They need to develop a sweeper.
The chat is making a good point here as well, though. We got Cool Country Gaming. He's saying that the re-releases will show people who are iffy about VR to go, oh wait, I can play that in VR. That is true, though. That is a good point.
Yeah, that is true. Like, what are the chat saying about their predictions on whether this is a new headset or whether it's just an upgrade, or their predictions?
They were currently just talking about re-releases and that VR is the future.
But also, like, because of CES is all next week, we're going to have tons of new announcements of interesting hardware, not necessarily VR stuff, but, you know, maybe NVIDIA are going to be talking there, so maybe they're going to be announcing their next graphics cards. That's going to be very interesting as well. So you've also got, like, driverless cars and all this other exciting technology that's going to be announced next week. So it's going to be an interesting show indeed.
Also business, medical, you know, all that kind of stuff. Usually CES is filled with, you know, non-gaming applications for VR. And actually, I would say that we'll see more then than probably any other time during the year. Even, you know, things like E3 tend to be gaming related. So CS is, you know, if you're a keen person who's waiting and saying, how do I integrate this into my business or all that? I mean, this is the time, right? We're going to be talking about that, I suppose, next week.
But yeah, I mean, but talking about CES, it's like last year CES, HTC announced their Vive trackers. They were for developers. So that's like the last real like announcement they made where people were like, oh, so I can now use my hands and legs and I can see them in game. But that's it. That's all they did. And it was for developers, not for consumers. This is targeted to consumers, you know, and people that are new to VR are not really like interested in this whole announcement, that they will not even know about it. So that's why I think this is going to be a revised version that just goes with the factory now as the new ones, and the older ones just slowly disappear until they all got sold, you know? So,
So talking about CES, we've got some other shows and events that are coming up, and I wanted to ask you guys as well, like, what events are you planning on sort of going to, or would you like to go to this year? We've got some shows that I've written down that I would be fairly interested in attending, but obviously a lot of them are sort of far away, so they're going to be very difficult. But you got GDC, which is the Game Developers Conference. That's in San Francisco. That's the next big one to mind that's coming up, and that's in March. In the UK, you've got EGX Rezzed, which is in London, which is like the Eurogamer event, their London event. They've obviously got another one, which is in Birmingham, which is later on in the year in September. But the EGX Rezzed event in London is in April. You've got MCM Comic-Con. Like, I know it's more of like a Comic-Con sort of like scene, but they also do a lot of gaming stuff there as well. That's also in London. That's going to be in May. You've got E3, which is obviously the huge one, which is in LA. That's in June. Like, I'd love to go to E3, but I don't think that's ever going to happen anytime in the near future. And obviously, you've got Oculus Connect 5, which I assume will be happening. We don't have any details of that yet, but that is likely going to be in California in October. So they're the kind of events that I'm interested in checking out. I don't know, what about you guys, if any of those pique your interest?
Yeah, definitely. EGX for sure. I mean, the thing I would say to people who are in the UK, I've done several years of kind of convention circuits now in the UK, and there's an event called Insomnia, which is targeted to gaming. It sometimes has a smattering of VR, but I'm really not a fan of Insomnia. The age bracket as well is about 10 years younger, I find, in terms of footfall there, and generally just the target audience. So EGX Res is great for indies. EGX in September is great for kind of everything else. And again, you usually get kind of a 20-25% hit in terms of the floor coverage for VR. So there's plenty there. I got to play around with like the Nausealess Rift once at one of these things. So there are some things that, and also the Serious Sam minigun and things like that you don't get anywhere else, and they're kind of one-time spikes that you won't get a chance to if you just sit back, be a consumer, go to your local game shop. Like that, just you won't get some of the same experiences. So taking the time out and finding whatever's in your country to go to as like a game show and seeing what's there in the local VR market, I think is a really good idea. But OC5 for me is definitely the go-to event.
Yeah.
But
in the chat, Alexander says that we should not forget about VR LA and also SVVR.
SVVR.
Okay. Yeah.
There are more VR targeted conferences.
Nathie, what did you go to last year? What was the? There's an event in Europe, Gamescom.
I went to Gamescom. I mean, Gamescom is also for Europeans. That's like the E3 basically. But that's gonna happen somewhere in the summer. So that's really far away. But I think also places like PAX, VidCon, maybe the Twitch parties or some other. There are also some VR, like you see more and more VR sliding in there, you know.
Yeah, I found the best thing about going to Oculus Connect 4 was just meeting like really passionate, like-minded people. Everyone was just so friendly, so cool. Everyone, like all the devs had some really nice ideas, and it was just such a vibrant scene to be involved in there. And yeah, I'm very excited. That's why I think I've got the bug now for events. I definitely want to go to more this year and meet some awesome people.
That's the main reason why I like it. I mean, I don't really go to events that often unless I get invited or I get to meet like some cool people there, because if I don't get invited to an event, I prefer to just follow it on like a laptop or just like a screen to watch it there. I get much more info that way.
It's a funny, from an informational perspective, actually, Ronnie, I'd say it's funny because my team administrated the Oculus CV1 like announcement, you know, and preventing Zuckerberg from getting hated on and all that kind of stuff. But it was funny because being at the event, I saw the least amount of, you know,
that's true.
Of like shows and stuff, because you're like, I'm here to meet people. I can always catch up with those VODs later, and I don't need to go watch the Carmack, you know, showing, because I can just look that up later. And rather you spend the time talking to people. But like what Mike said, I mean, I met this like 57-year-old woman whose kid was in the Echo Arena sporting event. She was from the UN, and she was really interested in VR. And it's like everyone you walk up to, you don't have to do that preface of this is what VR is, and you know, it's really exciting to be in a space with that many VR heads. It's
funny because
awesome.
I met that lady as well. I was queuing up for a coffee and I started chatting to her, and she said, "Oh, my son's playing in the Echo Arena event." I was like, "Oh, that's cool." She was like, "Oh, by the way, I'm really into VR as well." I was like, "Okay, nice." And then she goes, "Oh, by the way, I'm #2 ranked on Space Pirate Trainer." I was like, "Oh my god, that is seriously cool." Yeah, like I probably
that's the fun thing about events, that you get to meet people, because that's the only reason why I go to these kind of things, to meet people, not really for what the event really is about specifically, because you can always probably find that information better online.
Yeah. But it's also like you usually, when you talk to people that do not really know much about VR, or they have seen it on TV, or they maybe tried it sometimes, you never go to a certain level in your conversation. Or you're talking with people from the industry, you're going to next level. And then it's like, okay, like how much do you know? How much do I know? What did I experience? What did you experience? And then you go to a higher level where it's like very interesting to hear from each other.
Yeah, you know? And plus, like when you make bets over the internet about burgers and stuff, you can actually pay your debts when you meet them in real life. Yeah. So moving on from events to some interesting rumors that came out this week for the Oculus Go. There was an FCC listing, and if you're not aware of the FCC, it is the Federal Communications Commission, which is an independent agency in the United States that govern basically like radio waves and wireless transmissions and stuff like that. But basically, you have to comply with their standards to release a product, and they basically list their information on their site publicly. And sometimes you can get little snippets of information about upcoming products through there. And basically, what we found out through those FCC listings was that there's likely to be 2 models of the Oculus Go. So it looks like there's going to be a 32 gigabyte model and then a 64 gigabyte model, which would also suggest that there isn't going to be any external storage available. It's just going to be you buy this model or you buy this one. That's the maximum capacity you can store all your games and all your applications. But once that's done, that is it.
64 gigabytes for games?
Yeah.
Downgraded, I guess, or smartly made, right?
64 gig of storage for games. Yeah, so like you could have like a big library of games if you had the 64 gig model. You know, just remember you might be able to buy movies and stuff like that in the future as well, maybe. So
that's what I would think. It's more directed then at movies than at games, because I mean, of course, it depends on if they're more like mobile kind of games. But if they want to bring like titles like, you know, like Fallout or like bigger titles to like a mobile VR headset, then that will happen.
Yeah, that's not going to happen, I don't think, for a long time. But 64 gig, I think, is a reasonable amount of storage. You know, like if you're like, I've got Gear VR right now, I think that would be plenty. And essentially, that's what it is. It's like a replica.
More on my phone. I got 128 on my phone.
All right, no need to brag about it.
Come on, look, guys, hold on.
No,
$200, right?
Rowdy.
$200.
Let's be honest here, most people don't have 128 gigabytes of memory. Like, the average person has maybe like 16.
Yeah, and plus, like most 32. Of these titles on Gear VR, especially right now, are probably like 2 or 3 gig at most. I would reckon anyway. But that's kind of a fairly big, size, I reckon. But that's the 2 models that they're going to release. We think it's all rumor, obviously. Right now, they haven't officially released anything. But my best guess, I'm going to throw some other best guesses out there, is $199 for the 32 gigabyte model, and then I reckon about $250 for the 64 gigabyte model. That is my big guess. But also, Darshan Shankar from Big Screen, he tweeted an image over Christmas. I think I mentioned this on last week's show. Yeah. But there was an Oculus Go in the background. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with that partnership. But also a source close to the podcast, I won't name any names, has actually tried one. And he said that it's the best version of the Gear VR that he's tried. So it's pretty exciting.
I can imagine that. I mean, it's technology that's newer, of course. How old is the Gear VR now already? I can assume that during that time that they managed to do like quite a few upgrades, especially because they're quite focused on mobile VR, and they got some big names in that as well.
Largely. I mean, I just mentioned Carmack, but he's just like, for the last 2 years, he and his team have just been focused on mobile.
On that, yeah,
and he's actually so convinced that that's the only way forward. You know, that essentially we're headed to this point where through AR and VR experiences, it's just going to be lightweight headsets, you know. And my brain goes, go on.
I definitely think there's more money to be made in that. I don't think it really is the way forward for virtual reality gaming.
For what we want, right? I mean, we talked about this before, but it's like, what do we want from an experience? Do we want to be in the street when we're playing Resident Evil 8?
The largest part of the world is not interested in games, but in actual, like, you know, watching a movie,
education,
Facebooking in VR, you know, socialize, education, healthcare, maybe. So I think that's like more useful, basically.
Yeah.
Is there any like applications, like Gear VR applications, that you guys haven't had opportunity to check out, but that you're excited about with the Go, maybe?
The only one that me personally interests is, and I think I mentioned that last time as well, is the cinema experience.
Right. Yeah.
More than that, I prefer still playing the PC version of pretty much everything that is out there.
I think. Go on, Zen.
Yeah, I definitely have one here because being a Twitch guy, watching Twitch on a mobile headset, and they've got a few different scenes for this where you can do that, like, you know, from the moon or a whole bunch of different places. That worked with Gear VR, and it worked actually quite well, to the point that some of my audience, a fraction of them, particularly in 2015, 2016, would watch Twitch that way by choice until the battery went flat, and then switch out and watch on desktop. So for me, I actually think that watching things like Netflix, I mean, you mentioned the movie theater thing, but I think watching live content in that way, sports as well, would be quite a cool thing to do. And I actually think that I'm really keen to see some proper pain reduction methods hit. so that we can see a proper rollout. I mean, when you look at the exterior of the Oculus Go, it already has this kind of softer feel with that light gray. And I kind of feel like it would work really well in a hospital environment or treating people who have, you know, sincere depression or PTSD or something like that, just to try to help, to some extent, distract them from those elements.
Yeah, that's interesting. But actually, the application that I'm most excited about is actually on your back wall. I've just noticed it. It's Augmented Empire.
I forgot to say it. Yeah, because that is it's a strategy game, and I've played around with it. It's really good in the higher res headsets, but I hope the Go will do it justice.
Yeah. So Augmented Empire, for those that don't know, is a game by CodeSync Games. It was released only on the Gear VR, but it is like a turn-based strategy game, from what I understand. And turn-based strategy is actually a really sort of genre that I'm interested in. Like, I used to really like the XCOM games. So Augmented Empire is definitely a game that I want to check out when the Go comes out.
Have you played it at all, Mike?
Nope.
Oh, so I've played it twice. It's strategic and time-based like actions that you're taking on a grid-based format. Like if you look up videos of it, we don't have one prepared for the show today, but it's quite an involved. It's kind of like Advance Wars on the Nintendo. I think it was Advance, the Game Boy Advance that I first played that on. But it's very much like stage stepped and with a kind of a spy element to it as well. So I think you'd like it. I think a lot of people will. I'm keen on Daydream stuff migrating over because I've never had a chance to touch a single Daydream app that is locked to that platform. I really want some of and I'm sure they'll think about it, the devs, to bring that over. The final thing I'll just mention, because I had a big relationship with them for ages, is VR Poker. They've rebranded from Casino VR to Poker VR or VR Poker. Largest grossing mobile app on Gear. And have done some lovely talks at OC4. Go listen. Lead guy is called Hamza. Did a really good talk about their success and what they had to change. They actually are the first app that I've seen. They left the PC platform. They said, we're going to cut out PC support. We're going to move and focus solely on mobile. And it's done a very good job for them. Because if you think about it, poker players generally won't be the same ones who have 2,000 to splash out on an expensive PC because they lost it around the table. But
well, that's what I was going to ask. Like, are you actually gambling your own money in this application?
No. It's a free-to-play application. The model is that you can, if you want to expedite your return or recovery in the game, you can buy chips back. And so some people do that, or for like avatars. So it's a kind of game that lives on hats in your avatar to an extent. But also, if you win in a particular time period or you win a tournament, like you've got like a hovering crown. So there's a bit of kind of like self-pride in that. It's a nice little model, actually. And being a poker player with others, you can tell tells just by body language and head movements and stuff. It actually translates very well. So I'm glad to have seen them be as successful as they have. I'd like to see what that looks like on the Go.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, we're excited about that. Hopefully we'll get some new news about when it's going to come out. Maybe CES is the week that we find out. Who knows? But moving on to the colossus that it is, and that is VRChat.
Oh God.
So right, VRChat, for those that you don't know, you probably must know because we talk about it almost every week, is a free application that is available on Steam. It is a social application. It is the craziest thing that I've probably experienced in recent years. But they've hit something, a milestone just recently. They hit over 12,000 concurrent users. It's number 62 in the top 100 concurrent games on Steam. Yeah. So that's a pretty good achievement.
And top 3 on Twitch.
Top 3 on Twitch, going crazy on YouTube right now. But to kind of put this into perspective, so Onward, max concurrent users is 388. Pavlov, max concurrent users is 256. And Rec Room, max concurrent users is 476. So 12,000 is a massive jump. And like, let's be clear, like it's not just a VR only application.
Yeah, that's a big thing. It is a
big thing, but I think even if like a big proportion of those users, which they are going to be using the desktop application, it is bringing a lot of focus and attention onto the VR, which is great, which is fantastic.
Very positive.
And I think as well, like when I recently interviewed Darshan in Big Screen about Big Screen, and we briefly touched on the future of VR, he said this as well. And he said, like, let's be clear, like the killer app for VR isn't going to be like a game, isn't going to be like Arctica 1 or Lone Echo. It's not going to be a shooter or anything like that. It's going to be a social application. It's going to be something like a Facebook in VR. Like that's what it's going to need to bring it forward.
I think Zuckerberg's point in the summer was also right. I mean, it's going to be the web. It's going to be the web brought into, people talked about Web 2.0, or if this is Web 3.0 or whatever you want to brand it. An explorable web where you can do that together, I think, is going to be a very pervasive experience. But I also think that what we're seeing mature now out of Oculus Home being maybe the best example is having your personal space, having digital items that are yours, that you own, that you can show off to other people. That is quickly going to become a thing. My God, and also, Rowdy, your watch is amazing. Sorry, he's got this beautiful blue watch that was showing up on stream as I'm talking about like digital items. I'm like, I want that watch.
Yeah, but no, it's true. Like what you're saying, I do think it's like a social experience that's going to become. Also, if you look at like the movie that they're making, Ready Player One. Oh yeah. It's basically also about a social experience. That you go into the oasis and you can do whatever you want. There's also something. So I do think that's indeed a good point. If VRChat is going to be the one, I mean, maybe it will.
Yeah. I think the great thing about VRChat is like every time you do it, like every time I've been into VRChat, I've experienced something completely different and interesting and funny in many ways. Like me and Nathie jumped in, and I'll tell them the story, Nathie, because we jumped in. Like for those that are aware of VRChat, you'll know there's like tons of memes within memes and memes specifically just for VRChat. And one of the memes right now is this like Knuckles tribe. And basically, there is a tribe of people that all go in and go as choose their avatar to be a little red hedgehog, which is an Echinigna or whatever it's called. What is it, Rowdy?
Go ahead.
Sounds like a skin disease.
It's called a hedgehog.
It's a hedgehog. It's a hedgehog.
It's Sonic the Hedgehog.
It is like you become Knuckles the little hedgehog, right? But you join this tribe. Everyone is a Knuckles hedgehog. You jump up and down. You go on a little adventures together. There is like a commander that everyone worships. They have their own rules. It's just absolutely insane. Like I actually watched a wedding video on YouTube of like a tribe leader marrying a little hedgehog to another little hedgehog in front of another group of hedgehogs, and it was just the funniest thing I've ever seen. But basically, Nathie and I went in there because we wanted to find out more about this, and we found a little hedgehog in the museum where all the avatars are, and we asked him to show us what was going on, and he showed us the way. He made a little portal up. We went to the island, and then there was a leader there, which was dressed up as like a devil hedgehog, and then he took us to the volcano, where there was a secret chest, and then if you touch the chest, you become a little hedgehog yourself, and then you can join the tribe. Like anyone watching this is probably gonna start like calling people and saying that I need to get sectioned or something right now because I'm going completely mad. But it's just the funniest thing ever, and the fact that these subcultures exist in VRChat is just hilarious. Yeah. And I would wholeheartedly just recommend you go in there and check it out.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly it. Like everyone seems to finally like find their own place within VRChat. There's so many different groups of people. You also like anime within VRChat is super big too. Yeah. Like I'm not really going there, but there are people, I don't know what they are doing, but like they are so dedicated into that whole thing that
there's a reason why anime is so big in VRChat.
Yeah, okay, I get it. I get it, but in the end, like you got so many different groups of people now that just join there to find, like you can find your own group of friends, basically. That's what it is.
And of course, I got a question for you guys then. I got a question. So what would a normal person do in VRChat? Because all I've ever seen in there, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, all the things that you shouldn't see.
Listen, I read a really, because I was also like, what is VRChat now actually? And I think I got a very good description for that, because I read like a document not that long ago, and they're saying basically what VRChat is, it's cosplay. Yeah. That's what's making it so popular. It's like people who love to cosplay but don't have the money to like buy all of those costumes. They can just go into VRChat and become whatever character they want to be. And you can't deny that cosplay is something that is really, really big at the moment as well. How many conferences are there about cosplay? And that is basically what is drawing a lot of people, I think, into VRChat. I think that is the popular thing. Why it is so popular on YouTube It's not because of that, I think. I think it's rather because of the big anime players and the thumbnails that they're making.
Yeah.
That is the reason why the videos are doing so well on YouTube.
Yeah. No, but I agree with that, but that's something that has been going on for a while. But now there's also a part that is more like, because as I said before, there are like different communities on there now, but you also got that like meme part where people are not really into like anime stuff. That's also becomes a thing now. Like Know Your Meme is a website where all the memes get like documented, right? So VRChat is actually now marked in the website. Like this Knuckles tribe thing Mike is talking about became a official meme. Yeah, I know, like memes back in the days was just something stupid, but nowadays it's like serious stuff. But since January 1, this is an official meme, and it's marked as that it got created within VRChat.
Yeah, it's like a living meme. It's a living meme. That's what it is. And
it's a huge advertisement for VR on like levels you have never seen before. I mean, Zim, you have been on Twitch for a while. Have you ever seen a VR title becoming this big and everyone is streaming it? I don't think so, right? At the same moment, I'd
have to think for a while. There's been a few spikes because the issue is that when you get somebody like Lyric or that playing anything, and it doesn't matter if he's playing a Pac-Man cabinet from 1975, instantly you have 40,000 people watching that live. So it's a little bit, if you look at the sustainability of games that aren't spiking, and you rather look at the average concurrent viewership, I feel like you get a better feel. Like right now, I've seen VRChat spike, and it spikes anytime a big fella decides to do it. But the thing that I'm hearing, which I think is the most heartfelt, positive thing that VRChat has brought, is people saying, hey guys, and this is like Twitch streamers who haven't touched VR, they're like, I just spent 1,500 quid to get in to be able to play VRChat. Like it seems to be, for some reason, and I haven't answered this for myself yet as to why, the golden key to get people who weren't early adopters to convince them to get on board. So it's now part of the Cool Kids Club, which just surpasses me beyond what Rowdy has already explained in terms of some of the assets that are available in the game for viewing. You know,
I should do a test. I should make a VRChat video and just, you know, use two of those big assets and see how it does.
I think you should. For science, you should just do it and just see. You should label it something like, can we get to 75,000 views?
Yeah. But this is the thing, like people are spending so much time and creativity on creating these avatars and these environments as well. Like they're all like, a lot of them are community made. And we found a guy that his avatar was actually a moving house.
Yeah.
The Corey house.
Yeah.
And so you can actually go inside another avatar.
What?
Super weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
People can be an entire landscape if they want to, like a whole world. So someone is walking around as an avatar, as a world, inside a world. So Corey in the house was a house with Corey faces on there, and it was just walking into the McDonald's.
Sorry, Korean faces?
What milkshake.
Corey.
So Corey in the house is like a series on Nickelodeon or Disney, whatever.
Yeah.
And someone made a meme where it's like Corey in the house, but then Corey is actually in a house, but the house is just a spin off Corey. I know it sounds weird, but there are like, I think what Rowdy says, the cosplay part is a very big part of it. I agree, because if I go in there as myself, and I do feel like an explorer actually. Like I'm
what
almost
do you guys
like
do?
What you say.
Like avatar wise, because I asked this because I've just got a member of my team rigging and skinning avatars for me to go in and check this out. I'm planning like a kind of like a 6-hour live tour because I haven't been in VRChat in 2 years. And I want to just do it in one big hit, like see everything that I can, meet who I can, and just have a natural experience of the thing to get a flavor for it, and try to, because there's a lot of open doors to jump through, if I was going to call it that, you know, things to experience.
Well, I think the thing to do is to go to the museum. Like there is a museum with about 150 different avatars in there. You just walk up to the one you want to choose and click on it, and you become.
I want a custom one. Like I mean, that's the whole point that I think that Nathie was making. Like the creativity that comes out of this, where it brings me, just like Oculus Home inspires me, is I want to put my footprint or thumbprint on that before I get into it. Like, you know, it's like if I'm going to put a suit on before I go into work. You know, I want to look the part before going in.
Yeah, you can do that. You can totally do that. But then, like, the reason, like Rowdy says, is that when you meet people and they're, like, dressed as Peter Griffin, they play the character as Peter Griffin. You know,
that's what I'm saying. It is a cosplay experience.
Yeah.
And if you go to, like, if you've been to any cosplay events, then there are also people there that are really going for that role, and there are competitions about who's the best cosplayer and all of that kind of stuff. So I do think that is a huge part of the attraction of VRChat, especially for those kind of people that want to become a cosplayer or want to be a cosplayer but don't have the money to be paying those kind of customers. I think
but also people that are like afraid to communicate maybe in the real world and have difficulties like making friends in the real world. Like it's an environment that can cater for everyone.
Well,
so
so you're just saying that, Mike, but I just had a chat at the bar side with somebody who's into VR, and he basically said, like, I don't want to, play Rec Room. I don't want to jump into VRChat because it just gets swarmed by people, and that doesn't make me feel comfortable. So when you say that there's kind of space for everybody, and I've seen this talked about on Reddit and things, so I've been kind of researching VRChat, if you want to call it that, just like looking at the different facets of it and see, trying to answer the question of why is this kicking off so much, aside from the cosplay side. But like for someone who's quieter, more introverted, like is it really that welcoming?
No, I really don't think so. I really think that VRChat needs a filter before it becomes that kind. Because I've seen things in there as well that I think is like completely not. Yeah. Completely. And so for Rec Room, I know that Josh Dopp once found like some guy who was like having like some pedophilic tendencies in Rec Room.
Yeah, but I do have to say, like I've seen it before in VRChat too, but they are pretty good at moderating it. But still, like it's so big, like you need to know that they got like 12,000 people online. They are not prepared for that at all, and it's like you have no idea what is going to happen because there's a part that actually is like the core community of VRChat. Yeah. Then you got people that just want to troll everyone and want to kind of like mess up the experience. Yeah. Then you got people that are just trolling in a respectful way because there's some kind of meme living there. So there are like so many different things going through each other. But let's say if you're not really into socializing, I think that's too much. And since they don't really have rooms that you can lock right now yet, as far as I know. Yeah. Like everyone can go wherever they want. So let's say if Mike and I find a world we go in together, then it's just a matter of time. Strange people are gonna join you in there. But I think like right now, first I was like, wow, Alt Space is great and Rec Room. Like for me, Rec Room was always like the kids thing. VRChat is also kind of, it's not like the whole adult thing, but it's different in a way. It's not. I haven't seen many like kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's really had that problem in Rec Room though. I mean, I know that there has like a tendency there's like more kids in there, but actually every time that I went in there, I actually had like quite like a good time.
Good age range. I never see youth as a problem. I think actually as content creators, it's a very important band to latch onto and embrace. But I think when you're playing games, if you're looking in for kind of like a serious game or like, I want to go in and I want to take down some Rec Room quests, actually, like a 12-year-old and a 45-year-old and me and some other person are taking down this Rec Room quest. Those things are bloody hard. And honestly, sometimes the kids are way better, more skilled at, maybe a little bit annoying to listen to, because if you got a squeaker voice, you can't help it, right? But
no, but we're not talking about kids of 12. We're talking about kids that are like 4 or 5 years old or something. That's like, I'm like, okay, this is kind of strange.
Yeah, you do get some very young kids in Rec Room.
They have been trying to like get away from that by having like age restrictions, stuff like that. It doesn't really stop anyone because the parents are the one that press the buttons in the end. But like, VR, right? It seems like VRChat takes a different part of the community into their thing. What you don't see in Rec Room, or Alt Space. So it has its own like, a community or like player base. It's a different culture within the gaming.
I would be interested to know what the chat think of all this. Like, have they experienced VRChat? Are they interested in it, or are they like, this is just way too crazy? I'd be very interested to see what they have.
I've seen people saying that they really love VRChat. I've also seen like John Smith. He says, as an introvert, I have zero interest in VRChat. So I mean, it's not for everyone. I agree with that.
But it can even be perception, Rowdy, right? I mean, that's the point that I'm getting onto, which is like how you perceive a game or a community, and whether or not you choose to get into that, whether or not you have to pay for the content or not. Like for instance, for me, early on, the Onward community I thought was quite acidic. I was like, because they're like super militant, like if you don't know and if you haven't spent 12 hours in this game, then F off. Like that's the kind of vibe I got from them. Whereas if I compare it to like Orbis, the Orbis community is like freaking sandbox. You walk in and everyone's hugging you, And then I feel like if you go into VRChat, like you get mobbed by a bunch of very strange people. And if you're not ready for that, I'm totally ready for that. But if you're not ready for that, then I can understand why people would say.
It depends. Like you're playing a roulette in VRChat, what your first experience is going to be. You know, sometimes you have a nice group that joins with you, and then suddenly you're on an adventure.
Why doesn't that exist yet?
What doesn't I mean?
Why doesn't you know? Do you guys know what chat roulette is?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Why doesn't that exist for VR yet? Like introduce you socially to someone else on the other side of the planet, 1-to-1.
I have some images are flashing by right now of me going into.
I think it was only really used for one thing. That's what I know it as. But yeah, like with VRChat, like we've had experiences in there where it's been very nice. We've met really nice people in there. We've like ridden sledges down like snowy mountains, and it was like a really pleasant experience. This experience we purposely went out of our way to go a bit crazy. And became these little red hedgehogs and was kind of trolling everyone. But that's the thing. You choose what you want to see and where you want to go.
But you also have now, you have Nat Carmichael. He said you can now craft your own experience with friends in private instances.
Oh, I didn't know. That's good.
Wow. And they got private rooms too, I see. So you can actually go friends only or, you know?
Yeah.
But like I rarely had any like bad experience with VRChat, but I think that's because I'm not really afraid to socialize with anyone within like the VR Oasis. But let's say if you're kind of new to this can be kind of like too much, you know? Because there's like usually when it's like when you're in real life and you have a group talk, right? There's not someone just out of nowhere streaming through your chat and waving at you. Like in VRChat, no one really use the rules you use in real life, you know what I mean, in terms of interaction. Like I'm not, if Zim is talking to Mike, I'm not just gonna jump onto his head, you know, out of nowhere.
Please don't. I would not. But like this brings me on to a different thing, which I thought was really interesting here. Like, you know, browser history can be a sensitive thing for some people. Like you're browsing away doing your thing, grandma comes over, checks your browser history, and Mike, you know, would you feel comfortable with your grandma checking your browser history? You know what I mean? Like, you'd be fine with that.
Have you ever heard of incognito mode?
Have you ever heard that incognito mode just tracks you more? Anyway.
No, I'm joking.
But like, I wonder if that will ever exist for VR, where like because you know people like Facebook are going to want to track every move and know exactly what you're looking at and what you're doing down to every detail. I wonder if we're going to ever be able to basically say wipe my history, wipe where I've been to. You know what I mean?
That sounds like some Black Mirror level stuff going on there, yeah. No, you're right.
We got Cool Country Gaming saying, the last time I was in VRChat, I was cornered in a bathroom of a McDonald's by a creepy guy. And then he goes on, and I enjoyed it. VRChat is weird.
It is what it is. Like, there are so many great stories you can have, and people are like, what the heck are you talking about? Like, I got another story. There were like, Mike and I were in a room, and some of the rooms you can be the character that belongs to that world. That's new. So there's like a character standing in that world. You click on it, and then you got like the same hands and body and stuff. And it was like a world where you had like cats with like instruments, and it was just a random cat you would get. So with a flute or with drums. And then I said to all the cats, like, you know, assemble, let's make music. There was no music. And then suddenly a random dude came into the room who played like Smash Mouth, I'm a Believer. And all the cats started to drum and stuff like that out of nowhere. But there are like so many, like it's a cult. It kind of is. I mean, you got the presentation room where weird stuff happens. You got the courtroom where people actually get like a prison life where they sit on a chair and you got like characters sitting there. So what did you do? And people are just watching what is going to happen in the courtroom. So, but that's the cosplay part of it. And yeah, I think that's what Rowdy said. I think that's the main thing here. Yeah. But I love it. I love it.
I've ever had in VR. Yeah, it's the most fun I've had in VR, definitely.
It is like the start of the VR Oasis.
Yeah. So we've gone on quite a bit actually. Yeah. The show is kind of coming to an end. We're going to have to skip the sort of last segment about peripherals. I think we'll save it for next week's episode. Kind of will bring us nicely on to what we want to talk about next week. But I'd love to get some comments from the chat. If you guys have got any more questions before we wrap this week's show up, then that'd be really nice. Yeah, it's been a fun episode again. Like I love always
asking. I saw the pairing like a couple of times. How do you make a custom VRChat avatar?
So if you look it up on YouTube, there's actually some really comprehensive guides on how to do it. The community have been very supportive about how to create custom avatars. Like, I've not got the time or the talent to do it myself. I'd love to have a custom avatar one day. But yeah, if you want to know how to do it, it's probably a great way to get into designing levels and designing characters in Unity as well and stuff like that. Like, it could be very good experience and lead you maybe down a path that you never knew you were really into. You could get into level design or game design that way, maybe.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of like back in the day when you had, when you had things like StarCraft and map makers. Have you guys ever done anything like that? Like design your own, in StarCraft there was something called use map settings. My brother and I did something called Food Chain Madness, which was a game where you went through all the different American food chains and you upgraded. It was pretty cool, to be honest. So that was my first kind of like coding design project, but it got me interested in, like you said, Mike, game development. And this is that other side of it. You might not know that you had skills of animating a character, or creating something in Blender or
exactly.
Maya or
and some of them are so detailed, like the mouth movements and the way the eyes follow you, and then they've got like unique dance moves as well, which are really cool. Sometimes when you see someone doing like something really unique, it is very cool, because I haven't seen this before.
I think you can even use the Vive trackers in game, so you can use all of that. But so Rowdy, do you have any like stuff happening in the chat you really think we should?
I've seen people also asking, anyone of you guys are getting an Oculus Go?
Depends on Oculus, I guess.
Yeah, we hope so. And even if we don't get sent one, I'm likely to go out and buy one.
I'm buying two.
Fanboy. Fanboy.
Yeah. Well, I am. That is true. I can't deny that. I am a bit of a fanboy.
Disappear. No fanboys here. Disappear.
But yeah, like I'm excited about the Go, and but more excited that I can show my friends and family and my colleagues at work as well, like what I've been dabbling with for the last year.
Well,
show them.
It's a great actually segue to the question you asked Rowdy at the start of the show, because obviously the Switch is a force of nature, and that has been brilliant. But I honestly, every time I travel, I'm asking myself the question, like, why can't I be using this downtime in an airport to catch up on VR titles? And I'm not willing to fork out 800 quid for a phone and then more for the headset. I'm an Apple dude, so I don't have that at the moment, and I'm really keen on the Go. Being a standalone headset, I can just chuck in a bag.
That's where the money is, for like on the go kind of experiences.
Like, has anyone here tried Daydream? Because that's another one. Like a Google, if you got a Google phone, I guess you can go into the Daydream headset, which isn't that expensive.
Yeah,
true.
Yeah, very excited about that.
I have the feeling like if you want to buy a headset now, I would just wait. I would just see, because it seems like the launch spawn of like something revised or something upgraded is like around the corner. But no new headsets. Like, we shouldn't call new headsets. It's just revised, upgraded. Like, it goes with its time again.
Still, I find that a bit of like it's kind of like a stab in the back, for like all of the users that now got like the Fallout VR bundle and like the VR bundle for Christmas, to be like 2 days after like 4 or 5 days after they get like already, it's a new year, we're gonna make a new headset in a couple of months.
But I mean, Rowdy, you bought a GPU before. You know how that happens. Like, it's the same story. Like, it happens with everything.
Still getting that.
Like you grab it on the store, and it's like, okay, new one just came out, and you just bought it. Haha.
Welcome to the PC Master Race. Yeah.
But you have to be ready for that, right? I mean, I think the way I've always combated it is buy stuff that's not just like bleeding edge, and just wait a couple of months, then be comfortable with your purchase. Like, I bought just when they announced the TI of the 1080, I bought the 1080, and I was like, I'm still super happy with that card. It performs so rock solid.
It'll keep you going for a while as well.
Yeah, that's
980 Ti.
Yeah. I'm going for the 1090 Ti. Okay, guys, so we're going to wrap this week's show up. Just to remind you guys, it is a weekly VR, AR, and MR talk show that is live streamed every Saturday on Nathie's YouTube channel. Tune into the show live at 4 p.m. in Europe, 3 p.m. in the UK, 9 a.m. in the central US. If you missed the podcast, you can catch up with it on my channel, Virtual Reality Oasis, every Sunday, where I upload the whole video. But also I upload the audio-only version to iTunes and Google Play Music, so you can listen to it on your daily commute or your daily adventure. Thanks for being part of the show. We love hearing comments and feedback from you guys, so keep that coming. We just want to keep improving it at this podcast. We're still having a ton of fun making it, so thanks for being a part of it, and we'll see you on next week's show. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.